AlphaDraft Challenger League. My name is Achilles. With me is Sifa, and we have bans underway in our third and potentially final match in this first best of five between Cloud9 Tempest and legendary Cloud9 Tempest, finding themselves back on the blue side and up 2 games. Ziggs gonna be the first thing taken away.
And no surprises to see that one taken away from Bishu. Bishu consistently picking up the Azir here when that option is not on the table. But despite them banning away some of the champions that he is more proficient with, he still manages to have a pretty insane impact in these games with Azir. But at the end of the day, mid lane not enough. They need to make more impact in other lanes, more impact in the early jungle. And for Dez, really, in the jungle, he got the team the lead that they needed to get ahead. And they just could not snowball it. They could not find an advantage. And now Azir banned away from Bishu as well. So the big question is going to be, what strategy is Legendary going to bust out here? Because they can't keep running into this team fight comp that we've seen from Cloud9 in the same way. It's not working out for them. They need to adapt. They need to try something new. And my big question is, what's that going to be? They've already adapted bans a little bit. Hecarim instead of the Thresh and the Annie, or sorry, maybe the Urgot and the Annie. And if Urgot is available, will they pick it up? We've seen Impactful be absolutely lethal on that pick, although it's hard for me to imagine Cloud9 letting that one get through.
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, the Yasuo going to be the final ban, taking away the Azir from Bishu as well. So much different bans that we're seeing this time through. Don't want Acadian to get his hands on that top lane Yasuo. We know that he plays that one through. But maybe even almost taunting him with that ban to try to force his hand onto Rengar, which is something that I've been wanting to see. I know that the viewers want to see. So we'll have to see if he's going to actually snatch that one up this time. Thresh, the final ban from Legendary, still taking that one away from Sheep, and looks like Yasui's going to stick to his guns and keep taking up this Cassiopeia.
Now, keep in mind that we can still potentially see a Cassio top. I doubt we'll see that one from solo, so it could be a flex pick, but it is most likely going to go over to Yasui in the mid lane. So when you look at Yasui's score in the first 2 games, he's actually performing pretty poorly in the early game, leaving himself vulnerable to early ganks, really suffering.
Yeah.
And it's really only on the strength of the other members of his team that Cloud9 is able to win these games so far. But Yasui is still a very mechanically gifted player, still smart about these team fights. So in the late game team fights, despite these low scores, is able to have an impact. But the only reason he's able to make it to late game is the other players on this team. So if Yasui falls behind again, it may not mean that much for Cloud9. Really, on the side of Legendary, they're going to have to find an advantage elsewhere, because clearly shutting down Yasui is not enough. The rest of Cloud9 has easily been able to pick up the slack here.
And unfortunately, looks like Rengar's still not going to come out. The Gnar getting grabbed up for Katie on the top side. And Dez going back to this Gragas, which was, of course, left open. We saw him perform quite well. I believe he was 4-0 in the start of the last game. Was looking like he was able, going to be able to maybe carry Legendary to victory in the start and get the rest of his lanes rolling, but unfortunately was not able to happen. Cloud9 Tempest came out on top of that one. So with this Gragas picked up, I'm interested to see what Hard is going to bring to the table. He's played Hecarim in the last 2 games in the jungle of all places. Might be looking for a 3-game repeat.
Okay, this is where stuff starts to get... I'm not sure. Okay, hover-overs. We won't talk about those. We'll resist the temptation. But Gragas Gnar already picked up on the side of Legendary. So they've built themselves a much more team fight-oriented comp. Unfortunately, Gragas and Gnar, hard to execute if it's not something you've practiced before, just because of the nature of explosive cast as a disengage skill. And Gnar really needing those multi-target setups, as well as managing rage appropriately. So Acadian has played a number of champions. He has a relatively deep champion pool. Should be relatively comfortable on this pick. However, it's going to take some pretty solid coordination here. On the opposite side for Cloud9, once again, the Alistar put in the hands of Sheep, this time paired with that Callista. Last time, of course, it was with the Bard. Bard, not the best person to throw in a team fight, but can do a decent job. Alistar, that is exactly who you want in the middle of the fight.
Yeah.
The pulverized combo. Has the headbutt left after that's Fate's Call to knock back any vulnerable targets. And, I mean, we've seen a lot on this Callista time and time again. Quite frankly, I'm surprised it made it to second rotation. I'm surprised that Impactful didn't take it. It looks like maybe just not comfortable enough with the pick. And interestingly enough, a Corki here. Urgot's actually still on the table. This is a very interesting pick ban from both sides, and it looks like determined to fight, and already a lot of early game damage in this bot lane. If it is the Corki Leona, this is one of the strongest early game bot lanes, and Corki and Leona can do a lot with these hard engages, but it's going to be tough against the Kalista and Alistar, especially given Alistar's ability to just knock away who's ever doing too much damage.
Yeah, and he's also going to offer that triumphant roar in the bot lane for some added sustain for Lod. I think that this was the desired pairing in the bot lane that we would have seen in the first game had the Alistar not been picked away early on by the side of Legendary. So this time around, I'm going to go ahead and snatch that one up as opposed to the Bard. So this is looking to be a pretty devastating combo. We did see Sheep play out of his mind on Bard and, quite well on Alistar in the second game. So, with that Fates call, likely going to be making some plays. Final two picks coming in. It's going to be Rek'Sai and Lulu, which really leaves some flexibility for both this Lulu and Cassiopeia. We're going to have to see where they want to place those. Either one could be played in the mid or top lane.
And having this as a flex pick gives them some options here as far as giving Yasui still a counter pick. Most of the time when Cloud9's on red, they save that last pick counter pick for Yasui to give him an advantageous lane matchup. They haven't had to do that as much just because they've seen Bishu's Azir pick pretty consistently earlier on. This time around, they're opting for a flex pick. They can send Lulu top. They can send Cassio top, depending on what they pick here, if we do see this TF locked in. So I like the draft adaptation, but this is, as I said, very odd. Like the last rotation Rek'Sai, very interesting. But, I mean, when you have such determination and such confidence with this Cassio pick, I suppose it does make a lot of sense. And it looks like Bishu actually going to opt for the Xerath here. This is not one we've seen from him yet, but it is one we've seen banned away from him consistently.
Yeah, so locks that one in. I mean, it is a little bit safe. He can sit back and farm up as much as he wants with that long range. So a bit safer for pick being as he doesn't know who exactly he's going to be facing off against. We're going to have to see which one of these it really is. They could be saving a swap for the last second here to really throw us off our game. In the meantime, we can go ahead and talk about this bot lane matchup. It will be that Corki versus Kalista with Leona Alistar. So lots of engage going to be coming out around that level 2, level 3 spot. Of course, upper hand, could really be given over to the side of Legendary in that matchup. Superior lockdown from Leona. It has that Zenith Blade, it has that shield stun off of the Q, and then Corki has the Phosphorus Bomb, whereas it's going to take a little bit longer for Lod to be able to output a lot of damage with the Rend.
And the other big thing to consider here is the Phosphorus Bomb Gatling Gun for Corki early on is already an absurd amount of damage, and you pair that with the Sunlight. Yeah. Every tick of Gatling Gun is going to proc that Leona passive. So level 3, really easily going to be in the favor of this Legendary bot lane if they can find an appropriate engage. Level 2, actually not as much. Kalista has a very strong level 2 power spike. Alistar as well with the Headbutt Pulverize can do reasonably well to disengage. And at the end of the day, Corki is without a doubt the stronger character in the early game. But as you move to late game, he tends to fall off a little bit. He struggles more in those engages, more resigned to a kind of a poke role. And that paired with the Xerath is going to limit their options mid to late game. But if they can get ahead with this early poke, with this early aggression, they're easily going to be able to transition that into the late game on the side of Legendary.
Yeah, so Legendary do or die time here in this match point against Cloud9 Tempest. Going to be looking to net themselves their first win and go to game 4. Going to have to see if they're able to do just that when we come back from a brief little break. In the meantime, guys, let us know who you think is going to take this series, whether it's Cloud9 or Legendary, by using the hashtag ADCL on Twitter. Go ahead and let us know what you think about the series in general and these picks and bans. And of course, go over to wellplayed.org/giveaway for your chance to win a Razer Chroma peripheral pack, keyboards, mice, and headsets, all included. Net yourself some very nice swag there. All you have to do is follow Team Razer and ADCL on Twitter. Unlocks a couple other opportunities to win. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that during the break. My name is Achilles. With me is Sifo. We'll be just back with this potentially last game. Welcome back to the AlphaDraft Challenger League. My name is Achilles. With me is Sifo. We are on to the Rift in our third and potentially final game here between Cloud9 Tempest and Legendary. On the blue side, it's C9T. Solo in top, this time on Cassiopeia. Hard in the jungle with the Rek'Sai. Yasui in mid with Lulu. Lod and Sheep rounding out the bot side with Kalista Alistar combo.
And on the opposite side, starting it up for Legendary, it's going to be Acadian in the top lane on that Gnar. Dez once again with the Gragas in his hands. Bishu mixing it up with this mid lane Xerath pick after his Azir was banned out. Impactful and Law Pally on the bottom side. Corki and Leona, a powerful kill lane at their disposal, and already a little early trading there, as we saw from Lulu, but both teams setting up a pretty defensive start with these wards. Not a whole lot of vision gained on either side, and it looks like once again, you may see the standard lanes here coming through.
Yeah, we haven't really seen too much rotation since the first game. You know, where it was shifted a little bit back and forth. You know, they started off on the bot side, then they had on the top, and vice versa. We had those 2v1s and the 1v1s and whatnot. It kind of went all over the place. Last two games, it's been much more standard, and I think that this is really the desired matchup for the side of Cloud9 Tempest. Lod has shown time and time again that he is very capable of performing on this Kalista, even in maybe a slightly disadvantaged matchup. But as far as solo goes on the top side, we know that he likes to play pretty aggressively, and that Cassiopeia is going to fit his style, especially going against Acadian on the Gnar. He should be able to zone him out quite well with the Noxious Blasts once he hits that level 2 spot and he has those Twin Fangs to follow up.
This is definitely the big question here, is on that top side, how exactly Solo's going to do with this Cassio pick. Not something we've seen so much from him, but it is something that he's practiced and played a lot in solo queue. Sheep getting a huge chunk of damage there in the bot lane. They have to be careful for this level 2. But top lane going so well so far, but Dez, as always, the player to watch, already going in.
Yeah, Low Pally going in onto Sheep. The Ignite coming across as well. Frost Bomb not going to connect. The Sheep goes ahead and blows that flash. The heal coming out from Lod as well to keep his support alive. Very aggressive play at that level 2 mark. See Cloud9 Tempest bot lane just now hitting that one. So a little bit further behind. Zenith played for it on a Lod. Frost Bomb going to connect this time, but they're looking to play a little bit further forward this time. The Pulverize going over on a Low Pally. Ren coming across as well. Going to have to be careful at the back side of this trade. Cloud9 doing a good job of equalizing that.
And one of the really nice things about this lane and having this Alistar is that it forces Corki to take the Valkyrie level 2 to get out of these kind of precarious situations. He can't take the Gatling gun for that all-in potential. Has to wait on that one. And the big other thing that we missed there is there was a flash burned by Solo in the top lane after a very aggressive, very early level 2 gank from Dez here. And I mean, we'll have to see if they capitalize on that flash, but a Cassio without flash is very vulnerable moving forward, especially against a Gnar, who has that stun in Mega Gnar form, who has that reliable slow in Mini Gnar, and of course paired with the Gragas, who has a veritable plethora of CC as well.
Yeah, but given that gank, you have to take a look at how hard is able to make up for it across the board. 11-5 in CS, so doing a good job just kind of sticking in the jungle. Will be able to go back here and start his buy. So doing a nice job as he goes ahead and is looking to pick up that Trailblazer. Might go for the Skirmishers. Yeah, there it is, actually. Swaps back, says, you know what, I don't want that one. Picks up the Skirmishers Saber, so will be coming back into the jungle with that and looking to make his moves and ganks at this point forward. So having quite a nice start on the Rek'Sai, able to get that farm out. Despone going to be playing catch up from here and seeing if he can, you know, make some impact in these lanes, particularly around Yasui, who has proven to be the weak point of Cloud9 Tempest in these last 2 games.
This is an interesting itemization choice for the Rek'Sai with the challenging Smite, picking it up even after the most recent nerfs in 5.9. And the thing more than anything that I find odd about this is he didn't opt to take it with Hecarim, but he is going in.
Hard going in. Yeah, he finds Despone, who has to go ahead and body slam over the wall, but Hard coming in with a flash. Can he get the kill? Yasui coming in. That last auto attack not going to be enough, but Hard has him in his scope. Snipes him out with the Prey Seeker for first blood. A great start for Cloud9 Tempest.
Just excellent movement there from Hard. We saw Dez really outmaneuvering Hard in the early game in our previous match, and I mean, at this point, matching pressure here, doing so much more with this Rek'Sai pick than he was able to do with that Hecarim, and clearly very serious about closing this set out. Bishu, so low, has to be careful here, potentially leaving the lane. Although on the opposite side of the map in the top lane, Cassio already building up a decent CS advantage for herself. Gnar going to be able to recoup that one as the massive wave crashes into the tower. But everything pretty even here. The 1.2 gold lead, though, present from that first blood, as well as a decent farm lead in a couple different places.
Yeah, really good pressure early on there. We can see that wrap around Acadian already down to half HP. Solo going to be completely able to burn down hard. Taking that turret, aggro going to juggle back, but only has to take a couple shots. Solo just ripping right through that remaining health of Acadian, finding the second kill for Cloud9 Tempest on the board. Now finding themselves up about 1.5k gold. A very good start just 6 minutes into this game. And this is Legendary just not in a position to really capitalize on any map objectives, despite that showing of hard in the top side. Had Dez been in a position, they could have started up that dragon and got the first one. We saw them taking the first game around this time, but Legendary just getting out-positioned, it would seem, across the map by Cloud9 Tempest.
And a lot of this is because Dez does just have to kind of resign himself to farming up. He lost a decent amount in the early game, forcing that level 2 gank. Was able to get the flash, but now, after that kill from Hard and Solo on the top side onto Acadian, probably will not be able to follow up on that cooldown being down. So Cassio will be able to safely get that flash back up in lane, and now has mitigated a lot of that early game weakness you get from buying tier just by getting this first kill and bullying this Gnar out of lane. And you can see 2 Ruby Crystals and a longsword. Not going to help you trade too effectively against a Cassio. A larger health pool will only keep you in lane for so long.
Yeah, not getting any kind of defensive item going to be hurting Acadian unless he's able to, really utilize that boomerang to get some good damage in on the Solo. But with that range on the noxious blasts and the Twin Fangs, he's still probably going to find himself at a disadvantage. We can see Yasui still stretching his lead here in the mid side as much as he possibly can. And is up that assist and has been doing a pretty good job poking out Bishu for the most part in this game. Now both of them post 6. Yasui going to have a pretty good spot at that right. If the arcane gets popped by Bishu, he does have wild growth, of course, to fall back on to keep himself alive. Interesting thing to talk about, though, and take note of, is Bishu does have Ghost Flash as Xerath, which is a very interesting selection of some of their spells.
And it's not honestly too surprising of a choice. He has to make sure to get away from this Alistar, from this Rek'Sai, from this Cassio.
Well, speaking of this Alistar, Sheep going in on the low belly in the bot side. Not going to fight too much. Just get some spears off and that Ren. So good damage traded out by Lud.
Which is the hard thing about casting a Cloud9 game is you never know when they're going to go ham. Because in every other game, they've pretty much taken that tower dive, no matter how risky it might have been. But tempering that aggression a little bit this one, so good to see it there. And for this Cloud9 lineup, I really like Yasui taking Cleanse here. He knows he doesn't have too much kill pressure on Bishu in the mid lane, just because Bishu is going to be able to farm safely if it ever gets too low. But here it is. Nothing. All right. So the Cleanse lets him get out of CC on the opposite side, the stun, the Gnar stun, the Leona stun, keeping him safe in lane relatively easily. And also in late game teamfights when his role is more as a support, more as... just in general, a supportive champion as we move past like the level 9 mark. It's going to help out a lot because it's going to allow him he cleans himself off, no CC, able to ult the carry, able to ult whoever needs to initiate, but a gank in the top lane.
Yeah, there's the ultimate going on to Solus. He gets knocked back by that explosive cast. He gets the Petrifying Gaze onto Acadian, who whiffs that Mega Gnar ultimate, and the damage being fired right back onto him. Look, 2 more Twin Fangs. He's gonna go down. 1 more tick, and Hard snipe him out with a Prey Seeker. It doesn't look like it, but they're still on the chase. The boulder will connect. Hard taking a lot of damage. 1 more tower shot. He's gonna go down. Oh, nice wild growth by Yasumi. Will keep him alive for the time being. But a little bit of a misstep coming in here by the side of Cloud9 Tempest. Huge amounts of damage being output. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Sheep going in deep. Lod trying to get that kill over. He does the right of the arcane. Not gonna connect. None of the charges hitting. And now it's impactful, getting locked up. He's going in with a headbutt, but he has to flash out there so far forward. This is the time for Bishu to come in and get himself a double kill. That arcane charge not going to connect, but it's just a matter of time. Fate's Call has been popped, throws him forward. Bishu getting knocked up in the air. The Frost Bomb not going to connect on either side. Lod managing this so well. Gets the Rend off, and now Solo joining the rest of his team impactful. He's going to go down the Rend for the slow. Sheep walking forward. He can take the brunt of that one. It's a double kill for Lod, but here comes that flash body slam from Dez. Gets the shutdown. Nice fire back, but overall, Cloud9 is wrecking this bot side of the map.
And what this happened from is that initial fight in the top lane gives the go-ahead to Lot and Sheep to go in on their terms. They both have level 6. Leona yet to have that level 6 for herself, so as a result, they get the free engage. They use this level advantage. They use the raw power of this Kalista Alistar lane, and more importantly, Alistar's unbreakable will to dive that tower. Works out well for them, and then pretty much based on their own mechanical skill and the missteps of Legendary, able to keep that train rolling, able to dodge out every single shot of Rite of the Arcane. And a beautiful set of plays there, and kind of just overall outperforming Legendary right now as they put players in the right spots to make things happen, but just can't land the skill shots necessary, not respecting the Kalista and the Alistar here.
Yeah, could have been a much different story from Packful's Frost Bomb connected in that last fight, just was not able to do so. Could have turned it completely on its head and shut down Lot himself, but did go down and did not live, to fight another day. You can see general reset. Dez coming in, trying to get that hit on a lot. A very nice step out of range, out of that explosive cast. So good evasion by Lot, who's playing so well yet again on this Kalista. Solo, meanwhile, in the top side, taking a couple turret shots as he's trying to harass Acadian out. Gonna have to be much more careful. Acadian is approaching that Mega Gnar form, and that is still a very squishy Cassiopeia. Sheep going back in, gets that knock-up Lot. A very nice juke to the side to avoid the Zenith Blade. Not gonna get caught, but Acadian getting caught. That Petrifying Gaze will not connect. He's just a little bit too far out of range. Mega Gnar has been popped, gets a nice stun on the Solo with that bowler. A huge Mega Gnar ultimate. Can this be a double kill for him? Hard taking a tower shot. The boulder, it connects. He's just a shot away from dead. Can Acadian get it with a boomerang? He throws out the auto. He gets the double kill.
And a beautiful outplay from Acadian. Perfect timing on that Gnar ultimate, and a massive misstep from Hard and Solo. Staying around way too long. Yusui, though.
Yeah, trying to get in onto Acadian on the top side. Meanwhile, the bot Lot getting locked up. The Solar Flare coming down. Nice knock-up by Sheep, taking Packful right out of that Valkyrie. Not going to be able to confirm the damage onto Lod, but otherwise great layovers, crowd control by the side of Low Pally. We can see that will be the Dragon, started up by the side of Legendary, who are having a breath of life in this third game when it's do or die time.
It'll be good for them to get this one back. Now, unfortunately, once again, Legendary have built a relatively...
Oh, yeah, they do go ahead and take that one away. Hard, unable to steal the Wild Growth coming across from Yasui, but he will go down. Bishu finding that kill now, and Packful playing so far forward. The explosive cast will not connect. That will be Yasui getting out with his life, but he has to pop the flash. Meanwhile, on the sidelines, Sheep trying to get in for a knock-up to have some follow-up from Lod, but it's not going to happen. Legendary coming out huge. Gets their first Dragon of the game and take down the jungler of Cloud9 Tempest.
We're happy to have that advantage back. Of course, still suffering in gold overall, mostly due to the farm differential present in the top lane. A 30 CS advantage for this Cassiopeia. Gnar can't even begin to contest this one. The Black Cleaver buy will keep him relatively safe, but will not let him farm effectively. The movement speed not going to be enough to trade efficiently with Solo in that case. And of course, they get the buff. It will be good for them. It will help a lot of that poke damage, especially on Corki, who with the Sheen will utilize both aspects, the AP and AD on that one. However, with this kind of poke comp, they really need to find a lead in the early to mid game, and they have not been able to do so. Corki, despite in theory being the stronger early game champion when paired with this Leona, falling very far behind in lane and really suffering here. 0, 1, and 2, 88 farm on the opposite side. Lod 3, 1, 0, 104 to his, and a finished Bloodthirster nonetheless.
Yeah, Packful just not really able to find his foothold there in this fight. Low Pally getting caught out by that pin from Yasui, and Hard has to flash over the wall to keep himself safe. Solo also waiting in the wings. They're going to have to peel out of this one. Bishu running away from Yasui, does get that stun, should be able to lay down a bunch of damage. Look at that, already down to half HP. Low Pally coming back in. The Solar Flare will get the slow. That's going to be right of the Arcane. A perfect stun locks him up, and they get that kill. But meanwhile, Packful in the bot lane getting knocked up by Sheep. Alistar yet again. Damage coming through from Lod. Packful not able to do enough. Doesn't even use the heal. Says, why bother? Goes down. Another kill going over to that bot lane. Sheep actually finding this one now. The Zenith Blade over onto Solo, who gets stunned out by Bishu as well. A follow-up Dez finishing him out with that Drunken Rage. Huge plays coming in from Legendary around this mid side of the map as they try to siege up onto this mid turret. It should go down on this push unless Sheep and Hard can make some serious plays, but I don't think it's going to be possible. So they're going to go ahead and trade the bot for the mid. Good acquisition by them. Still down in gold, but only 1.6 thousand separating these teams. And Legendary still find themselves up 1 dragon.
1 dragon, not the biggest advantage at this stage of the game. We talk about this time and time again. It is going to scale with them as they move further and further along, but right now, not massive. Definitely not outweighing the 2K gold lead. Definitely not outweighing
Low Pally going in onto Lod. They have a huge amount of burst damage. Bishu's here as well, but that's going to be the teleport in from Solo, who's going straight onto Bishu's face. He flashes away, trying to avoid this damage, but you just cannot. So now down to half HP, but he's straight onto his backbone. Gets stunned up. The Xenoblade will not connect. He gets a double kill. Acadian petrified right out the gates. Solo. I'll be surprised if he gets out before the line. The Wild Run comes across. It's going to be a triple kill. Can he find the quadra? They go in onto Acadian underneath of the tower. They're ripping straight through him. Can they get it? He gets it. It's a quadra kill. Des across the map. The last living member of Legendary, Cloud9 Tempest, coming up so huge on the bot side.
And what a beautiful flash from Solo. Such confidence in his team. Flashes behind them, knowing they're going to turn to back off for at least a moment as they see more members coming. Instantly gets the ult, has the follow-up damage. And this is what this feels like to me is he saw Bishu kind of feed it away early game in the mid lane with Cassio, and he said, this is my turn. Let me show you how it's done. 5-2-0 now the scoreline. So far ahead in this top lane, and an excellent use of TP to turn that one around from Solo.
My God, we're seeing which member of Cloud9 Tempest should probably be using Cassiopeia in the future games. And Solo coming up so huge, 5-2-0, beating out Lot, who is now getting locked up by that Solar Flare. A very nice headbutt to stop the Zenith play, but here comes Desmond from around the side, right at the Arcanist spot. One of them will connect. Acadian now joining the fray. Lot goes down. Gnar finding that kill.
Good prioritization on that Kalista. They know she's so strong. They know the majority of the team's damage and engage options are in that Fate's Call, as well as the rest of Kalista's damage output. However, I don't know if they're going to be able to turn this one around. So Yusui
up by that Zenith blade wild growth onto himself, and it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Heart being chunked down to half HP. The damage coming in from Bishu and everybody on the backside just proving to be a little bit too much impactful as well, throwing out those rockets. Trinity Force has been completed by him.
And
so,
this is just
good firebacks.
Law Pally is just making such solid plays here, barely making it out with this life. 1-2-5 now a scoreline. By all means, not the most amazing scoreline overall, but still making pretty solid, pretty consistent engages here, and clearly one of the strongest players, one of the most veteran players on this Legendary lineup. And I mean, really picking off Yusui at the start of that fight is a huge, huge gain.
Oh, Sheep going in on the Bishu. Solo throwing down the poisons. He's gonna go down. Lot finds that one with the Ren execute. Very good pick off there.
And it's just so hard to survive the Cassio when she's right on top of you like that, and you just cannot do any damage to contest her. 250 damage on those Twin Fangs already, and of course he's maxing it first, but that is absolutely insane when you consider that 0.5 second cooldown in addition to the healing, in addition to the bonus cooldown reduction and percentage AP gain. So Cassio, the queen of snowball champions, I think you could argue, and definitely scaling pretty quickly out of control in this game.
Oh, absolutely. He's being so impactful by comparison to the AD carry of Legendary of the same name. Just 1 free and 3 on this Corki. The Sorcerer Shoe's not even finished out at this point. He does have enough for them. We'll have to see if he's going to buy him on his next back, if he's going to try to get some more aggressive items. But having a bit of a late point to get this Trinity Force and just getting kept down by that duo of Cloud9 Tempest. We can see trading evenly now in Dragons. Cloud9 Tempest pick up the second of the game, their first here at the 19-minute mark. We'll see that one coming back in at 25 minutes. But Cloud9 Tempest, especially with that even up, they're up 2 towers, in such a good position in this match so far, up in gold, not by a significant amount, but they have the scaling potential by comparison with this Kalista, with this Cassiopeia, and both of them are having such a strong early game that it's going to be so difficult for Legendary to swing back in. They're looking to do just that, though.
Basically engaging here. Gnar coming along the side.
Coming around the side. Dez getting chunked out. That's going to be the explosive cast. Burns. Boomerang not going to connect. Acadian thrown out by that petrifying gaze. The poison comes through. Solo will get that kill. Meanwhile, in the jungle around the Wraith camp, Hard being taken quite low. Thrown out the Prey Seeker. Not going to connect. Yusui playing maybe just a little bit too far forward. will not get hit up by that Xerath. Meanwhile, back in the top side, Solo still going strong, and Sheep has joined the fight as they try to get onto Dez. Gets knocked up by that Pulverize. Solo just actually regenerating mana off from those Twin Fangs kills there. Dez playing quite far forward, gets headbutted away, not going to be able to find the Pulverize for that follow-up. He's still on the run. Solo not even going to bother. He says, you know what? You go handle the fat man. I'm going to get myself some minions. Dez on the run should be able to get out of this one alive, unless the rest of Cloud9 can collapse in from the backside.
And this is the big thing about this lineup, is that they need Bishu to wave clear on the side of Legendary, and it just didn't happen there, so they're able to take down this turret. Now, Cassio is splitting along the top side, and Dez can't find an opportunity to back here. This Alistar's not going to kill him, but he needs to go back. He needs to help defend the base, and it looks like he's just going to have to resort to taking his own life in this case.
Yeah, Solo, though, so far forward at the top side, gets locked down. Acadian finds himself a kill. Hard able to secure that kill over onto the side of Dez, who could not get the execute, trying as best as he could to get that one, but he does go down. Grayseeker connecting, takes him out. And I don't think Dez was very happy about that one. I think he thought he was home clear.
What I would really like to see from Cloud9 here... I'd like to see some deep wards and some picks with this Lulu, with this Rek'Sai, the Alistar, and the Kalista. They have a pretty good comp set up to dive deep and to force a pick here, potentially take down Bishu or Impactful, and mitigate a lot of that wave clear. And from there, it's really easy for them to dive. Well, not so much dive turrets, but to kind of take down turrets slowly but surely. They have a decent amount of poke with this Lulu pick. On the opposite hand, though, on the opposite side, though, as long as they don't lose Bishu, they should be able to protect this last top-tier turret as well as these inhibitor turrets. Cloud9 really don't have the strength to force down an inhibitor turret yet, and without a Baron buff, they're not going to be able to push these minions in really reliably either.
Yeah, Lot is getting quite huge, though. Hurricane completed with Bloodthirster on top of the Berserker Creep, so lots of attack speed for him. So in these extended engages, maybe, you know, not so good in the Siege game, but operating in these extended engages is going to be able to throw out so much damage. So you can see wards being cleared out of the Baron Pit by Hard here. Wants to make sure that Legendary don't find their way onto this Baron. It will be Cloud9 Tempest actually starting it up. They have that Smite, they have that Ren to try to, you know, double secure it, so it should be a pretty easy take for them unless Acadian can get some masterful skill. Boomerang not going to happen. Meanwhile, Sheep by himself in this mid side getting locked up. He's just throwing out the taunts, knocks up and back, headbutts him back straight into the face of Yusui. He's got that Valkyrie there, should take him to safety. Hard playing quite far forward. Sheep going in with the Fates Call, gets popped up onto Impactful. Knock up yet again. He goes down. Yusui finding that kill solo. Trying to play on the backside, but they will just turn their attention on the low valley. Who's going to go down? It's a double kill now for Yusui, who's having such a better game. And with that Baron, with those kills, it's going to be the surrender. Cloud9 Tempest 3-0 over Legendary for third place in the AlphaDraft Challenger League.
So obviously, happy to have that extra $500 for winning out in this best-of-5 series. Cloud9 absolutely dominating Legendary, proving themselves to be a stronger team in just about every aspect of the game, except for, of course, Yusui's early game, where he continues to feed. But hopefully that will be adjusted as they move forward in the Challenger scene. Obviously, Solo showing himself to be a worthy Cassio player, 6-3 and 2 that final score. And Legendary, as a young team, actually did pretty well. They went toe-to-toe for the majority of the early games, found advantages where they could, and you can only imagine that as this team gets to play more, as they get to scrim more in North America, they may find themselves facing Cloud9 again on very different terms in future tournaments.
Yeah, still, you know, like you said, a very fantastic performance coming out from these guys. Not able to lock themselves in, you know, to that third place spot. Net themselves $500 on the backside of that fourth place. But they have played fantastically throughout this tournament. We saw them show up hugely yesterday, giving Misfits a run for their money, actually able to take a game off of them as well. But speaking of Misfits, we're going to move straight on into the last best of 5 of the night. It's going to be Misfits, our #1 seed, going up against Frank Fang Gaming for that #1 spot. We're going to see who's going to come out on top. We'll only come back from a brief little break. Let us know your predictions by taking Twitter using the hashtag #ADCL. Share with us whether you think Frank Fang is going to be able to come out on top. They did have a fantastic showing yesterday as they took down Cloud9 Tempest. Or if you think Misfits, or if you remember from last night, hashtag Misfats are going to come out on top. So be sure to share that with us. And also check out wellplayed.org/giveaway, where you have the chance to win some awesome Razer Chroma peripherals, keyboards, mice, and headsets, all included, as well as some mouse pads. And get yourself some free swag, guys. We'll be